For this activity, you're going to need to set up a few things. So in G Drive, you're going to need to set up your own folder. For me, that is in G Drive, International Student Office, Student Engagement, Academic and Language Advisor, and then I've set up a space called Email Archives. Now, you can call this Email Archives with your name on it if it's a space that's used by multiple people, or you can have a folder with your name on it and then have Email Archives inside of that. Now, regardless of what you do, the next thing you need to do after you've created that folder, so to create a folder, first of all, you actually want to come up here, up the top, there should be an option to make a new folder at the click of a button, and then you just rename it. Or you can right-click in the folder and go new folder, and it will do the same thing. But the clear thing is that you name the thing to do here is make sure that you name it something memorable. The next thing that you're going to do is actually click, hold, and then drag this over to this quick access menu. On older versions of Windows, this will be called favorites. Now, if you can't see that, it's likely just folded up and you just need to unfold it. If it's not displaying, there may be something inside the view menu or file menu or this top menu that you need to change. I will do this demo also on the old Outlook so that people can see what it looks like on the old Outlook as well. So now that you've got your email archives there at quick access, you can get to them in one click. So this will probably be empty for you at the moment, but that's set up and that's there for the next step, all right? So G Drive, go to your own space, make a folder called Email Archives with your name, something that distinguishes it from the rest of the folders. Come back to Outlook, and I need you to pick a date. So I'm going to pick a date up to August 31st, so the end of August. I always try and archive at the end of every month. You can see that I'm getting very close to filling out my email. So I've just come over to File, and then underneath Cleanup Tools, go to Archive. And this little pop-up will appear. Now, there's a few things to set up. Up the top here, make sure it says archive this folder and all their subfolders, unless you know how to use the auto archive settings, which I am assuming that most people have not. I'm assuming people are very new to this. So choose that and then make sure that you've selected inbox in this area here. Pick your date here. So like I said, I'm going to pick August 31st. And I'm going to include items with do not auto archive checked. I'm going to make sure that they are included in this archive. You can leave them there in your inbox. That's up to you. Then click browse. And what you're going to do is, instead of going through the G Drive again, if you scroll up on the left-hand side, underneath your favorites or quick access, you should have that email archives right there. And so what we're going to do is actually rename the file, and we're going to name it archive up to August 31st, 2017. Year is very important. If you've been around Box Hill for a little while, you'll start to accumulate quite a few archives. All right, so you've come to the email archives, you've named the file, click OK. So now it's going to put this archive file in that area for you to find at a later date. After that, you just click OK and let it do its magic. If we come back to our inbox, you'll see down the bottom here, yours might be a little green bar, but it is actually archiving all the email within my inbox up to August 31st. Now, you need to wait for this to finish before you do this next step, but I'm going to show you what this next step does. So again, come to File, go to Open and Export, and open Outlook data file. Now, for you, that might just be File and Open if you're on the older system. Come to your email archives folder and select the file that you've just made. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do that because it's still creating the file. I'm going to pick an older one. I'm going to pick December 31st, 2016. Now, if you have opened this archive before, over on the left here, it will open up with the name you have designated to it. If you haven't opened it before, it will open up and look like this, and it will just say archives. And underneath that archive, you'll have a whole bunch of random email from dates that you're not quite sure what's going on. Now, this is the archive that's actually being created right now. All right, so if you have a file like this, come to where it says archives, right click, go to data file properties, and it'll bring up this little pop-up. Go to advanced and change the name to the name of the file. So archive up to, and if you're not sure of it, click in this next section and go right to the end, and you'll see the date there. You'll see the name of the file. So archive up to August 31st, 2017. Click apply, click OK. And then in this section here, click apply and click OK. And now it's changed that archive to have the name that is more recognizable. Now, all this email that's here, it's quite a lot of email, right? All this is actually coming from the G drive. So this is no longer taking up space in my actual inbox. As you can see from this here has changed from 78 megabytes free to now having 95 megabytes free. All right, so it's actually pulling the email from the G drive and displaying it in your Outlook instead of, which is what's happening with your regular email, which is actually being stored within the actual program. All right, so that's why it frees up space. Now, depending on how much email you have, you might do this every week. You might do this every fortnight. You might do it once a month. You might just do it every single time that this tells you that it's getting too full. All right, and you get a little notification that says your mailbox is almost full. It's approaching 300 megabytes. So just to revisit those steps, you come to the G drive, you create your email archive folder, and then you drag that over to your quick access or favorites menu. You come back into Outlook, go File, Cleanup Tools, Archive, select your date. Make sure that you've selected Archive this folder and all subfolders. Select the date that you want it to archive up to. Go to Browse. Name the file, the date that you want to archive up to, and click OK. Click OK, and it will begin to archive. Then, once it has finished archiving, you can see now that mine has finished archiving. That's no longer there. You can go File, Open Outlook data file, come to your email archives and open up that file. And then it will appear here underneath your actual current email. Now, if they're not appearing in order, see how this one is April 2016, you can simply click, hold, and drag it and reorder them so that they're in the order that you want them to be. So probably from most recent to least recent. And you can also fold them up using the arrows so that they're easier to move. All right, so you can reorder this any way that you want to. So I'm just clicking, holding, and dragging, and you can see the black line is going to tell me where it's going to put it. So you can have as many of those open as you want. And once you have them open, you can actually search, and it will search all emails all back through those archives. So the archive function actually frees up space in your Outlook, and it also allows you to search for email from as far back as when you first started, if you've got it archived that far back. So this means that, yes, you still want to delete email that's not really useful, like this notification from YouTube. I don't need that. I'm still going to delete it. But all the important email that gets sorted into your hierarchy, it can actually stay that way. You can see that in my new archive, it's still retained the same hierarchy, the same folder hierarchy that I've instigated. And as you change this, it will archive in that same fashion. So if you add folders, take them away, you can see some of my older archives have the old structure of my folders set up the way that it was before. And now this one has the new way that I've set it up. So it stays completely the way that you recognize it, and you can reorder it, reshape it in any way, shape, or form that you want. If you want to get rid of it, if there's something here that you're not using anymore, you simply right-click and go to close that file, and it will simply remove it from that list, and you can open them and close them as you see fit.